Welcome back to the BSH Brief. I'm your host, Caden Friess, and today we're joined by someone who's no stranger to the world of high expectations and high learning, from guiding students through the rigors of the IB program formally to helping lead Ben High as one of our vice principals. It's Mr. Hutter.
Hello. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. Then we got two student guests helping out today. Could you introduce yourselves?
I'm Loki Zarilla, and I'm a senior at Ben Senior High.
Amazing.
And I'm Josiah Holmberg, and I'm also a senior.
Yes. All right. Well, let's jump right in, Mr. Hutter. This is very exciting. Pleasure to have you. We had Mr. Reese on just a few episodes ago, so we're really going in the hierarchy here. Starting off, we always like to ask a little bit about who you are as a person. Who's Mr. Hutter, whether it's your past education, your family, all that type of good stuff.
Well, thank you for asking, and thanks for doing this. This is really cool. I'm so glad that you guys ventured off into this little project. This is a fun little thing.
It's awesome.
Super fun.
I think getting to know each other in this way, it helps to build the culture of that school, of the school. So just
That's what the goal is.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I am. Let's see. Let's see. Where should I jump in? Where do you want to start? Where do we go? So I'm from New York. I'm originally from an East Coast guy. First person in my family to go to college.
Whoa.
Yeah. Dad said, hey, college is really expensive. What if we got you a car instead? And so that was the conversation we had when I was about 16. Decided that I wanted to go out of state for college. And so left New York and went to Virginia. Spent 5 years going to school, getting my bachelor's degree in environmental engineering and geology, and then moved to Washington, D.C. And then I sometimes, if people pry, I guess, a little bit, probably the main reason I'm here is probably because of September 11th, 2001. That was a really pivotal day in my life. And I was underneath the Pentagon when just about 20, 30 minutes before the plane hit. And that day I wound up walking several miles back home because it was quite chaotic in the city that day. Saw the Pentagon on fire and was engaged to my wife at the time. And we sat down a couple of days later and we said, well, after we get married, what do you want to do? What does life look like for us? And she said, well, there is this cool little town in Oregon, which is where she's from. She's from Springfield. And she went to the U of O. And she was like, yeah, there's this little town called Bend, Oregon that I used to visit when I was a little kid. And you want to go check that out? You want to go live in Bend? And so we loaded up our Jeep Cherokee, put our kayaks on top, and took the long way to get here. And 6 weeks later, I landed in Bend, Oregon. So that was in 2002. So I've been here for about 23 years.
Oh my gosh, that is an unbelievable story. I can't even imagine like what it's like being there on that day. That's really, really powerful. Wow.
Were you born in upstate or were you born in the city?
Yeah, because Loki's also from New York.
I know Loki spent a bunch of time. We've talked a little bit about that. You've been around upstate for quite a bit.
Yeah, I went to a lot of different cities in upstate. Just bounce. Rome, Oneida, Canastota, all those places.
I'm from Long Island, and so most people on Long Island never leave Long Island. So I've been upstate a couple of times, but mostly my entire family. They're all still there. So I grew up, oldest of 12 cousins, grew up within 4 houses of each other. So big extended family right there. So
nice.
We all grew up on the same street, and then I was the first one to leave.
Okay. Was it like, did you hate how small it was or anything? Like, because upstate's pretty desolate, it's like.
No, I grew up in a very suburban, kind of urban. So the only way you knew like you were going from one town to the next is like when you crossed a certain road, you're like, oh, we're crossing Route 112. Now we're going to this town. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty urban. Okay.
So do you prefer, like, are you more of like a city kind of guy then? Like you like the more active lifestyle, like, or do you prefer like, cause I know you lived in Bend for years. Yeah. Did you like it more when it was just like small community and, more low key?
I want to hear from you guys first. What do you guys like? Do you like the city or you like the rural?
I came here from Portland, and I love this infinitely more.
Do you?
Like, anywhere you go in Portland, you're in the car for like an hour. Yeah. If you can get across town in 10 minutes here, it was the biggest life changer. I like it a lot more here. It feels more personal as well.
Yeah. That's true.
I think there's something about like not seeing like skyscrapers and massive buildings that just makes it feel so much more welcoming.
The traffic here gets pretty bad though.
Yeah. Over the past couple of years, you've really seen it change. I'm going to be honest.
It's pretty bad.
A few years ago, it really wasn't this bad when I first came here, at least.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think there's pluses and minuses to all of it. I used to live in Salt Lake City, and I think that's a really great place to grow up as a little kid. There's so many places to go. You could go to the aviary, you could go to museums, you could go to parks, which are everywhere, which is obviously the same here. So I think the amount of things to do in big cities is definitely pretty nice, but it's nice to be able to slow down too. So I think Bend is a really good blend because there's stuff to do outside, there's stuff to do in various places. I would like to see a little bit more in terms of shopping / like experiences, because most of the things you do here are outside, which is fun, but if you want to just be inside or do something like that, there's not a lot to do. So I don't know. It's just sort of a balance. Whatever I'm feeling in the day.
I think that's why, I don't know, I think younger people generally, I mean, you'll see more people in cities, and I think that's why younger people kind of gravitate towards cities. It's just, there's a lot more lifestyle and opportunity too, like especially depending on your career, there's a lot more opportunity in the cities. I just personally think after growing up in both, like I gravitate towards cities more because I just want to be so like active in lifestyle. Like cities is like you just get to go out and have fun all the time. Whereas if you're in a rural area, like sometimes just no one does anything. So you're just like sitting there, you're like looking at the sky, like, okay, you know, there's trees and stuff, but you can only sit and look at the sun for like a few weeks before it gets old.
I think that goes to like, we were talking a little bit about this podcast, and one of the things I love talking about is like that transition from high school to what I'll call the real world. Because this isn't the real world, right? This has just been high world. I'm more of a city guy. I get a lot of energy. I derive a lot of energy from being around people. So I like people. I like airports. I like hospitals. I like schools. I like lots of different types of people in lots of those areas. So if I'm walking through a city, I feel pretty comfortable. If you walk into a hospital, you get the whole spectrum, right, of society. You get all sorts of people because everyone needs the hospital at some point in their life, right? That's probably going to happen. Airports and schools, same type of thing. So I kind of I gravitate toward the city just because I derive a lot of energy from being around people. I like that energy. And I think that you're right, Loki, that there's a lot of people when they're younger, they're seeking out adventure. Right. They're seeking out new experiences. They're wondering, they're in that time of their life where they're developing who they are and thinking about what is it that I'm seeing that's allowing me to reflect on who I want to become. Yeah. And so what better way to do that than to be exposed to a lot of different things? So you get to really reflect on, I like that person, but I don't like what they're doing. And I think that's really cool. I'd never even seen that before. So you get to really reflect when you're around a lot of people on the things that you really like and appreciate. Yeah.
It's interesting too, because I noticed as, you know, a lot of people I know who lived in cities as they got older, they're like, all right, now it's like the inverse. I want to just live on like a little farm in the middle of like the Adirondacks and like just completely like the exact opposite of what they did when they're younger. And I kind of see, I don't know how you guys feel, but I kind of feel myself just like when I'm in my like, I don't know, 60s, I just want to be like in nature, like just on it, like
full hermit.
The exact opposite. Yeah, like
live under a bridge.
It's
Is
like
that what you're talking
it's
about?
like there's some like desire to just want to just be more at peace when you're older, because when you're young you just want to experience everything.
Go.
Once you've done it all, it's like now it's like, let me just chill with my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. Yeah, I'm excited to get to that point. See how it turns out. Are you
Oh,
starting
you're
to feel
excited?
that more, or no? You're loving being in this. Yeah,
No, this is good for me. I mean,
you don't need to live under a bridge.
No, I don't. You know, I can appreciate that idea. I call it fight or flight.
Yeah.
Sometimes it kind of feels like, you want to be around a lot of people and you want to, talk about, society, and you want to talk about how to make the world a better place. And other times you're like, nope, screw this. I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. Let me find my own piece of land. Let me go find my own spot and just make my own decisions, not have it be impacted by other people. So I could definitely see both sides of that.
Yeah, full self-control. And as you get older, I mean, it's going to be hard. It's also like you just don't want to do a lot, like, I don't know. I feel like I see, because I work at the retirement home, I just see all these people, they just want to like relax and just read books. It's just like, they're good. They're good.
They're done. They're done. They live their lives.
They went to their parties and did all their.
They have time to read now.
Yeah, exactly. Like they pushed it to the max. So I think eventually we'll kind of we'll go so far, we just end up coming back to that equilibrium.
Yeah. I know. I like that. Mr. Harder, you used to be the IB coordinator. Is that correct? Yeah. Or one of? Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
That was awesome. I'll make fun of IB just a little bit because I describe it as maybe you've heard of like drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, right? I am someone that I love it. I think that what IB has done and the direction that they've taken, the decisions that they've made to create the program, it's pretty dialed. It's pretty awesome. I really appreciate what they do. So taught IB Environmental Systems and Societies for, I think, 13 years is I taught that class. And then helped to teach TOK and then helped to run the program as a coordinator for about 5 years, I think.
Nice. Okay. What advice do you have for like IB students going in or who are currently in?
Yeah. No. Actually, it's easy peasy. It's all about curiosity. IB is not about intelligence. It's about curiosity. And I think most learning is actually, and I think that's what we're trying to do. I think maybe a little bit with standards-based grading too. This idea that we're trying to create some intrinsic motivation and curiosity in students about their learning. IB has really done a pretty good job of trying to bring that up for the student. So a kid that really enjoys opening up a book, a kid that likes to open up YouTube to figure out how to do something, someone that likes to solve problems, someone that's curious is going to be successful in IB. And that's I think that's a great approach to education, right? Just that idea of what can I find in this that really intrigues me, and how can I keep on going with that?
Totally. That's really cool. And now you're one of the vice principals.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that like? What does that role entail? What's like the day like?
I would say I feel really busy most of the time, but I feel like what I do is important, and I feel like I get to help people. So I walk in, and I would say maybe 15 or 20% of my day is somewhat planned. And a lot of it is somewhat reactionary to what's happening on that day and who needs my help. So it could be a teacher needing some help. It could be a student needing some help. It could be a parent needing some help. It could be Ben PD needing help. I mean, someone in the community needing help. It could be a lot of different things. So I think of myself as someone that tries to help solve problems most days, which is a pretty rewarding, thing to do every day, to feel like you're walking in and helping to solve problems with and for people all day long. So I would say that's mostly what I do.
Okay. And are the VPs still broken up by grade level?
Yeah.
Right. And so which ones are you in charge of?
I've got 9th and 11th this year, and I'll go with those guys next year.
To
so
10 and
I'll
12.
Have 10, 12 next year, yeah.
Okay. That's really cool. And so what advice do you I don't even know. Do you work like really directly with the 9th and 11th graders, or you are just like more on the charts and that type of side of the 9th and 11th graders, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a little bit of both. You know, some kids are needing a little bit more support, and some kids I won't even talk to, for their entire high school career, right? So sometimes I'm looking at trends and looking at data and trying to figure out how we're doing overall, getting big picture, what you would call like the 30,000 foot level, right?
Yeah.
And then other days, I'm calling in an individual to have deep, tough conversations, so it varies. So once again, it gets to that idea of problem solving. So like you're coming in and maybe problem solving with a single person, or trying to problem solve, like, how are we going to make this happen for all of the 11th graders? So it's a little bit of both.
Okay. Really cool.
How much of your work? So like, I'm always curious about people who are in like more like higher positions in whatever it may be, whether it be school or military or whatever. How much of your job is like taken up outside of work? Like, how much do you think about your job outside of actually being here and actually being on the working as a vice principal?
All right, I'm going to give you guys something good. Here's a good analogy, okay? I know this isn't being filmed, but I want everyone to imagine that you've got a little stone in your hand right now, okay? And that's going to be called a problem stone. So every once in a while, I'll have a student in my office, and I'll say, hey, you see that vase filled with stones right over there? Go grab one of those. Those are called problem stones. So my students will grab a problem stone, and we'll say that stone represents a problem that we're dealing with right now. And that problem is something that's external to you because you're not the problem, but we're going to deal with the problem. That we're going to deal with that together. And when we're done working on that problem, we can put that in our pocket, or we could leave it on the side of the road, or we can toss it in the river if we want. But that problem is external to the people that we are. And I try to do the same thing when I leave work. I mean, I love this place, and I take Ben High really seriously, but I do my best to try to leave my problems here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not carrying them around with me everywhere I go. So it's a big job, and I think it's a big part of who I am. People recognize me and identify me
As vice principal, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I try to leave the problems.
Yeah,
back
that's
here.
a good analogy. It's interesting to, when you're a high schooler, when you have a job, you don't think of it really outside of your job. It's just like, you just need to make money. Okay, I don't
Show
think
up to
about
your
that.
shift.
So much other stuff to think about. But when your job is really, now you're here at the point where, okay, you're past school, this is what you kind of worked up to. My thoughts of like, how do you abstract from that at that point where it's like, especially if it's of high importance, like I feel like if I was a principal and I'd be home, I'd be thinking about things relating to that job. Like, oh, what about that kid earlier? What about that thing? It's because of the tasks you have at hand. You're kind of always even if you don't realize it, working on it in the background. And I'm just curious how that kind of goes for you. You say you leave it at work, but do you still do you have dreams? I imagine you have like dreams about a job,
Dreaming Ben High.
stuff like that. Like, do you have that sort of feeling?
Yeah, all the time. But I'll say this, for you guys, as you're, how old are you guys?
18.
18, yeah.
Okay. So as you begin to think about what it is that you want to become as you get older, you could think of it in kind of two different ways. Either your job is going to define you, right? You're going to be defined by that.
Totally.
And people, when they think of you as a doctor or a teacher or a nurse, that there's a certain character that goes along with that, or you're not. And what you do for work is what you do for work. And no one really knows what you do for work, right? It's just, that's the way you make money. And one of my best friends from college, he's a middle manager for Amex, American Express. Mm-hmm. It's great, but it doesn't define him. I don't look at him and think of, oh, you're like an Amex guy, right? You're like a credit card middle management type of personality, right? No, I don't think that, right? But when you're a teacher or you're, I don't know, a physician, or there are certain jobs that they define you, and you take pride in that. So I think there's a certain persona that goes along with being a vice principal. And I own that. I like that. I don't mind telling people, yeah, I'm a teacher. I'm a vice principal. I work in schools. I work with kids. It defines me.
Yeah.
But for you guys, as you begin to venture out and start to think about what you want to become, you got to start to think about, well, what do you want? Do you want your job to be your lifestyle? Because I do dream about it, and I do wake up in the middle of the night, and I do, get phone calls, on the weekends. It happens, but that's because this is the life I chose, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to, right? You could go work and 9 to 5, be done at 5:01, and then that's the last step you think about it until the next day at 9. It just kind of depends on what you're hoping to do with your life, and whether it's going to be something that's defining or something that's a little bit external to your personality.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's kind of one of the more intimidating parts of getting done with high school. It's kind of the sense of like, I don't know, you're kind of fed since you're little this whole idea of like, if you make your work something that you enjoy, then you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that's exceedingly present in modern society with social media and things like that, as people are becoming influencers and YouTubers, and they're doing all of these new jobs that didn't exist before. I think that there's sort of this stigma around, well, not maybe not a stigma, but it feels like a lot of pressure to find something that you really, really enjoy and to make that your job. And so it feels kind of intimidating. Like there are so many options. What could possibly be the right solution?
And you can still, based on that comment, you can still enjoy it and have it not define you, And so,
Right. It's a good distinction.
you kind of think about the type of job that you're going to do. If you're the type of person that's going to be working with people all the time and kind of helping out, that becomes part of your persona, part of your character. But it doesn't matter if you're not doing that. Like my best friend who's works at American Express, he's developing some type of software for them or something like that. I'm not even sure what he does, but he's still a really happy guy. He loves his work. They pay for all of his breakfast. They pay for his lunch. They pay for him to work out. They make sure that he takes his 4 weeks of vacation. You're not allowed to come to work if you haven't taken all of your vacation time. They tell you, hey, no, you're done. You still have 8 days left in the year, and so you can't come to work. You have to take them. So he loves his work, but it just doesn't define him. So there's that idea of what you want to do and whether it's going to define you.
Interesting. Right. That is a really interesting idea. One thing is both of your sons go to Summit. Can we talk a little bit about that? Working at Ben High, being a position of control at Ben High, what's that like? Is it a little bit hurtful that they're not here? Or is it like, that's cool?
I'm totally cool with it. Yeah. My boys they're thriving. They're doing really good over there. There's a couple of different things, right? The main thing is wherever you go to school, you want to feel connected. You want to feel like you've got a place. You want to feel like people know you. You want to feel like you can be who you are. You want to feel like you've got people that you can trust. And when that doesn't happen, man, school's really rough, right? It's pretty terrible when you don't feel connected to wherever you're at. And I would say that my boys feel pretty connected. They've got a good group of friends. They're getting a good education. I mean, it's Bend. We've got good schools, right? I mean, when from the 30,000 foot level, I'm honestly, don't tell anybody, but I think Caldera is fine. I think Mountain View is fine, and I think Summit's fine. I think we're the best of all of them, and I'm gonna tell you, I think my boys would say that they really appreciate what goes on at Ben High School. They really do. I would say that both of my kids grew up coming running through the halls of Ben High, and they have a pretty huge degree of appreciation for what goes on at this school. So I wouldn't say that there's any hatred there. I love being close with them, and I've spent a lot of time with them. I wish they were here in the same building with me, but at the same time, they're happy and they're connected, and they've had a good high school career.
That's good. Do they play any sports?
Yeah. They both were soccer players and tennis players.
So come soccer, Ben High versus Summit, who are you rooting for?
Oh, Ben High.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, it doesn't change
priorities.
anything. All right, that's good. That's good. The priorities straight.
I do have a question about Ben High. So obviously we're in building. We're not going to be here when it's done. But in the moment, so right now, what would you like to change about Ben High? And of those things, what are already being changed through this new development in what we are building?
I would say I am what I would call a teacher first type of administrator. When I think happy teachers make smarter kids. So I think
Agreed.
I think that to the extent that we support our teachers and they feel like they can be the professionals and put in the work when they need to. When that happens, they're happier. And when they're happier, they're going to engage with you guys with smiles on their face with better lessons, right? Nothing's better when you're walking in and a teacher's like super joking around and having fun. Like, it's going to be a great class, right?
Right.
As opposed to the opposite, when you're walking in and the teacher is stressed out and they're feeling overwhelmed and they've got to do this thing. So happy teachers make smarter kids. So for me, anytime that I can try to improve this place, so teachers are feeling more supported. It's obviously it's not necessarily a construction type of thing. Although it might help, but that's always what I'm thinking in the back of my mind. How can I help teachers be a little bit happier so they can help out our kids a bit more?
Okay, what steps do you take to do that in particular? to make those teachers feel like they are at a better place here. I know I actually really wanted to ask you on top of that too. Like, what's your, because you have such an overview over school, what is your thoughts on how AI is being kind of implemented both in the teaching curriculum and in the student curriculum? Because obviously that's going to be crazy for high school. It's completely changing everything about high school as we know it.
Well, let's start with what's going to make teachers happier. And let's just think about for your own lives. Like, school for some kids, you know, it's really burdensome, right? But what makes you guys happier? Like, what's a good class for you?
Like, a big example, I think Mr. Gilsdorf. Like, every passing period, he's standing in the hallway, engaging with every single student that walks by, whether he knows them or not, just complimenting the outfit or saying hi to them. In the classroom, he always starts off by talking about, like, what sporting events are coming up, what school events are coming up. He tells fun stories during class. He's very much standing in front of the classroom, talking with us and not just, like, to us, reading off the board. He's talking with us and having conversations. And, like, he feels so alive, and he has that, like, Ben High fire in him. So I'd definitely say Mr. Gilsdorf. Shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't know if I have a specific teacher in mind that does it, but I think it kind of across the board. I think all the teachers do a really good job of engaging the class. It never feels like they're talking at you. It feels like they're talking with you. Always open to commentary or questions or elaboration.
So helpful.
There's not, sometimes there might be, set for their class, or I guess in the stereotypical high school experience, your teacher's like, oh, open to textbook page 246 and we're going to read this chapter today. And I think it's nice because classes can take turns and winds as the students enjoy it. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, instead Mr. Kurtz in economics throwing up a graph and being like, this is what this means, and this means. It's like, what do you notice about this? Oh, you notice that. Why do you notice that? And then, like, really talking about our own experiences and what people notice.
I think Mr. Kurtz is the best economist of this century, really.
Oh, obviously. Worldwide.
Yeah, it's just not even close. I mean, he actually, I think, is my favorite teacher out of all of high school.
He's so awesome.
Can I tell you, I probably shouldn't share this, but I'm going to share it with you guys anyway. I woke up the other day, 6 o'clock in the morning or so, and I'm taking a little walk in my house, and so I'm walking down this trail, and I see somebody, and they're running up this hill, and I'm walking down, and they're running, and I'm like, man, that guy's in pretty good shape.
He's on it.
And then that person who they're probably 300 feet away, maybe 400 feet away, so I can't really see them. It's a little bit darker, and it's 5:45, 6 o'clock, and all of a sudden they stop and they like pound out like 6 or 10 push-ups, and then they like do like these squats and a stretch, and then they just keep on running to me, and it's Mr. Kurtz, and he's like, hey man, how are you?
He's on the fitness grind.
I'm telling you, that guy, yeah, he's awesome.
He's beyond human.
I'll tell you that I think what makes teachers happy and what makes kids happy, what you guys are talking about, is authentic relationships, like someone that cares, right?
Totally.
And I would also say simplicity. It's nice to know when you're going to walk in to a classroom, like what's going to happen and what's going to be expected. It's nice to know that your interaction is going to be authentic and caring. And so if we can just get to that level, I think teachers kind of want that same thing. Like, if you could make my life a little simpler, and if you could keep what we're doing authentically about learning,
Yeah.
then teachers are happier. And then they translate to you guys, and you guys are like, hey, if you could like be caring and connect with me, and you could make this simple, then that helps me.
Oh, yeah, totally. And, like, even sometimes Mr. Kurtz, like, directly told us, like, we would do something. He's like, you guys are way more engaged than my last class. Like, thank you. And, like, being really just appreciative of it.
90% it was me and you arguing.
The crazy economic debates. Or remember we did the push-ups? He was like bribing us with grade points. He's like, I will give you 1 grade point for doing 5 push-ups.
Yeah.
So we did, and he's like, I'll give you 5 grade points for doing 5 push-ups.
I think
and he kept going up and up.
From that day, I think you gained a little bit of muscle mass. Like, just like
that's where it all started.
That's where it started. I like to think like he just has like millions of dollars in account.
Secretly.
Secretly.
Easily.
And he just lives a simple teacher life.
He lives in a volcano. You know that, right?
What?
What?
No, okay. Like, he's secretly Batman. No, he like it's the craziest economics class with him, because he'll randomly drop me. He's like, yeah, and I have like a couple hundred shares of Apple, and it's like, what did you just say? That's like tens of thousands of dollars. He's like, yeah, it's just how it is.
He's got something.
Dude.
I know dang well he just comes here for fun.
He just does this for love of the game, dude. He has to be balling.
Okay. With that question, I actually really am curious though, with AI, like what is from your perspective, like how do you think everyone's going to go about, like from a teacher standpoint at least, because obviously students use it all the time. Like how are you going to balance it amongst teachers and then kind of incorporate it into are you going to try and incorporate it? Because I feel like you can't really combat it at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to somehow figure out a way to embrace it, right? It's going to be a part of our society and part of our lives. It gets back to what is great teaching? Like what does IB seek? And that is curiosity.
Yeah.
If you're typing in, if Mr. Kurtz says, hey, compare and contrast the economic situations of the 1930s and the 1960s, and you just take that and you pop it into ChatGPT, did you do any thinking? No. Right? And so there's nothing there. There's no curiosity. You're regurgitating something that a computer just made for you.
Yeah.
But to the extent that you can think about education and AI, where it helps to enhance your curiosity and helps you to solve problems, then the education is still there. So I think it's just a matter of how we're engaging with AI. If all we're doing in the long run is we're reducing curiosity, it's not a good thing. Right.
Yeah.
I think that actually is the thing that I fear, because you're gonna have this world where you've got the people that are generating the AI and the people that are consuming the AI.
Yep.
And if all you're doing is consuming, computer generated stuff.
Yeah.
And you're not doing any of the thinking. You're not learning.
It kind of just dulls you out.
It does.
And I think that's definitely a big concern, because I mean, all throughout school, as far as I've noticed and observed, is students generally, and there's obviously different types of students, but the general populace of students, I would say, enjoys everything. There'll be like a subject or two they enjoy, but the rest, they just would rather do the easiest route possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what's going to happen is students will, maybe they'll have that interest in that class or two, and then for every other class, they'll just be like, all right, what is the difference between the 1920s and 60s when it comes to the economics? And then they'll just write it in their own style a little bit, or they'll just paste it over. But if they just want to even slightly do anything, they'll kind of change it a bit and then boom, submit it. And the teacher will probably not notice. And
so it's going to have to be up to the teacher. I mean, education's going to change. The days, I mean, education has changed so much in 15 years, to the point where now information is so quick, right?
Yeah.
Getting facts and now even narratives is at the tip of your fingertips all the time. So there's got to be some way to engage with kids that enhances that curiosity, and that's going to be the trick.
Yeah.
It's just going to be about having good teachers, finding people who bring out the spark in others. Because, I mean, I've used AI to research, but it's all based on things that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Enhance.
So I think if you have good teachers and good, interesting people who will just bring out that spark in everyone, because everyone's got it, you just haven't found it yet.
And I think, Josiah, like in your science classes, I know that you were given like different lab like challenges, right? And so it might be like, hey, you're going to launch this marble off of this little ramp, and you have to try to figure out where it's going to land, or vice versa. I'm going to put a target out. You have to figure out how to hit that target. Mm-hmm. Those are the types of things that you can't type that into ChatGPT necessarily, because Mr. Crawford probably came up with it in a moment's notice, or Mr. Rakowiak was like, I did this thing, 15 years ago, try this. It's going to take talented teachers, that creativity piece, to really bring out that curiosity in kids.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree. Well, I always like to ask, do you have any questions for us as students or like representatives of the student body?
I'm gonna go to you guys more personally. I always like talking about or challenging kids to think about the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Everyone, I always like to think about, well, what do you see yourself in 5 years? And because that's the thing that you should be working to. And even though that changes, you've got something to aim for. So let me ask each of you guys, 5-year plan. What do you want to do in 5 years?
I'll jump in. I think, over the next few years going to COCC, just, scholarship free, get the prerequisite classes out of the way and earn money and save a little bit. Then ideally probably transfer to a larger school with some more focused programs that I'm interested in, such as business, film, that type of stuff. And by the 5-year mark, after completing that, like that for me isn't necessarily getting a degree for a job, getting an economics degree to go into this career field, but more so, I think skills learning, primarily in the business world, is what I'm most interested in, and gaining those skills. And then ideally by year 5, starting something of my own or creating something for my own. I don't know. I struggle with the idea of being tied down on some other company, some other narrative. And I think entrepreneurship and just having my own line of work is kind of the ideal. So hopefully that's the goal. That's the move.
Mm-hmm. After this, I'm going to Whitman, ideally going to major in physics. I don't know. I've wanted to be an engineer since I was like 5 years old. But kind of with more reflection, it's been like a lot of thinking about other things that I'd be good at and a lot of other things that I'd enjoy. So I really don't know what I might end up doing as a career, but I don't know. I think ideally in 5 years, I'll be coming out of college with a job in some field that I enjoy. That's kind of my goal, because I don't know, I think I enjoy a lot of things. And I don't know, maybe that's in engineering, maybe that's in something else, but going in and I don't know, come out. I'd love to see where I land. I want to see where I live in 5 years, because I think that'll be really cool.
I think in 5 years, I want to be able to look back at the experience of university and everything I did and just be happy, and I want to be content with what I did. I don't want to have any regrets. I want to try and just experience as much as possible and do as much as possible to potentially just be a more developed person, because as long as I'm evolved from where I am right now, as long as I'm always like progressing, then I think that's for the best. Ideally, I guess it'd be a programming job or something, because I'm going in for CS. But honestly, I would love to just be a musician. I mean, just go to like Europe and just like play on the streets or something. Like,
I like it, Loki.
that would be fun.
I agree. I also want to pivot travel. I want to be traveling a lot in 5 years' time. So
where's like your number one spot? That sound gives me trauma.
The alarm sound is not good. Dude, I want to travel everywhere. I want to go to every single country. I mean, that's the goal long
That'd be
term.
so cool.
But starting off with Europe, probably. I love Europe.
Japan?
Oh yeah, I want to go Japan. I want to go around. I don't know, but it's exciting. Have you ever been anywhere super cool, super interesting?
So I'll let you guys know when I was your age, when I was 18.
Yeah.
I don't know what my 5-year plan was, but 5 years after I was graduating high school, I had never been west of Pennsylvania.
Oh, whoa.
So I'd only been East Coast. So I found myself traveling around the entire country, living in a van and hitchhiking from California up to Seattle. And that's how I met my wife, actually, hitchhiking on the Oregon coast. Went and lived down in the Caribbean for a little bit and was a chef down there. Got to live partially in Florida and the Virgin Islands and British Virgin Islands. And so I'm glad that you guys are thinking jobs. I'm glad to hear travel. I'm glad to hear playing some music, because life's about adventure, right? And to bring this a little bit full circle, you can be defined by your job, but you don't have to be defined by your job. You can be defined by the places you go and the things that you do that are external to what you do. So owning a business and working for a company, that could be a goal of yours. But ultimately, I hope, and for all of you guys, I hope that you're defined by the adventurous parts of your nature, of your character, and I hope that something like that is able to happen for you.
Yeah, definitely. So you lived out of a van, right? And that's what you said, you traveled around. There's got to be some just story that you have that's just out of this world. You can't just travel around and not have some story, something that happened.
I've got some good stories, but I'll leave you with this one. I wound up doing an outward bound trip, sailed around the Florida Keys for a little while. After I got done sailing, I found myself at Miami Airport and flew down to Puerto Rico. When I got to Puerto Rico, I had a flight that had been canceled, or the company that I was flying was canceled, and I was trying to get down to the Caribbean. There's a national park down there, and I'm proud to say that I successfully hitchhiked a ride on an airplane from Puerto Rico
That's incredible.
to St. Thomas. Yeah.
You just met a guy and you like convinced him to take you with him?
Yeah. Hey man, come on. I'm from New York. I met a guy. I know a guy, you know?
I know a guy.
Just hop on the airplane. Like,
Dude, that's awesome. Okay. Well, Mr. Hutter, in our final little segment here is I always ask teachers and staff to submit some questions to ask our guests. So these are some hot seat questions for you. Starting off, we have Anonymous asks, what's your favorite Samba and sweater vest combo? Let me tell you, this was a big talking point when I was talking to people about this episode. People love your fashion. I'm going to be honest.
All right, here's the deal. I'm a little bit depressed about the whole Samba craze right now because I've been wearing Sambas for a long time.
They're stealing your thunder.
And we all know trends come and go, right? And so pretty soon,
It's like, oh, Hutter's still wearing the Sambas.
Hutter's still wearing Sambas.
you're the innovator.
Here's the thing. My sister-in-law works for Adidas. I get all my Sambas for pretty much for free. So I have all these Adidas Sambas, and I love them. But yeah, there's a part of me that's a little depressed about the trend right now.
Oh, no. You know, it's kind of some negativity later on.
It is. I know. It's going to come back to bite me.
Okay. And then Joaquin asks, what's your favorite childhood meal?
So I grew up in Long Island, New York, a big Italian family. And so I'll give you just a little bit of Thanksgiving with the 40 of us for dinner. Started off with antipasto. So, you got, anchovies and bread and cheeses and different types of cured meats and things like that. And then from there you go to your pasta dish. You've got some, spaghetti and meatballs, maybe some sausages, and then you got some. After that, you go to the next course, which would be like chicken parmesan, maybe some eggplant parmesan, maybe a meat lasagna. And then you take a little bit of break from eating, and then everyone sits down, watch the football game. You come back, then it's time for turkey. You do the whole Thanksgiving meal, and you have your turkey, you got stuffing, mashed potatoes, and bread, and all that kind of stuff. Then you sit back down, and then out comes the Italian cookies, and you got your desserts, tiramisu, all that kind of stuff. And then you have dinner. So I grew up in a big Italian family. I personally drift toward more Italian meals.
Yeah. I want to be there for that dinner. Holy.
Yeah,
I agree. That sounds amazing. All right. Anita asks, what's your New York nickname?
Oh, everyone calls me Paulie.
Paulie.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Paulie.
That's awesome.
Any backstory behind it?
Only that my dad was Paul. My uncle John had his son John. My uncle Mike had his son Mike. My uncle Charlie had his son Charlie. So we're all juniors. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Wyatt asks, what first drew you to Bend High?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think I was ever gonna be a teacher. When I was in Washington D.C., I did a lot of high profile media stuff. So I was on TV a lot for my job. So I did a lot of press conferences. I did a lot of public speaking. I did a lot of touring. I've spoken in 40 different cities. I've been on CNN, NBC.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
Mr. Worldwide.
So
You're dropping like crazy information bombs on this podcast, let me tell you.
It was just part of my job was to be on Capitol Hill and work with senators and representatives and travel around and do press conferences. So when I moved to Bend, that doesn't really exist here. So I couldn't really translate what I was doing in DC to something that would work here for me. And so I decided to try teaching. Back in 2004, I went back to school and decided to look into teaching and got really lucky. This is the first and only place I've ever applied. It was Bend High. Just been here.
Wow.
Wow. That's awesome.
That is. All right. I'm reading it.
You're reading it.
All right. Wait, which one?
The last two.
The last two.
Do you like being an admin? Would recommend it to other teachers.
Okay, he didn't read the name. That was from Mr.
Mr.
Reese. Maybe the most biased question possible.
That's right. This is part of my annual review.
Yeah, he's sneaking in there. Do you like your job?
I would say what I do, I find a lot of value in what I do. I find that it keeps me really, really busy, and I really like to help people. So I'd say it meets all of those criteria. Some days it gets a little overwhelming, but ultimately, I don't think I would do this job if it weren't at Ben High School, to be honest. The people that I get to help here make it very rewarding. So getting to work with like my best friends here at school. So the whole science department, I'm very, very close with. A lot of folks in the social studies department, a lot of folks in the I've worked with a lot of people at this school, and I consider them very, very close friends of mine. And so I feel like a lot of my job, like I said earlier, happy teachers make smarter kids. So if I can help their lives to make them a little bit happier, then I feel like I'm being valued.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Great. All right, Miss V, what's the biggest difference from teacher to admin?
Teacher, you're really in control of what your day looks like, right? You're doing your planning. And so you got a little bit of, so when I taught chemistry, it's a lot of work, of course, but you're planning out what that day looks like. So if you got a 72-minute class, you're planning that out kind of minute by minute. Kids are going to walk in. I'm going to start with this demo. Then we're going to do a little quiz. Then I'm going to do some notes. And then after that, I'm going to have kids work on a project. So it's very planned out. And so most of it is, not always, but a lot of it's within your control if you're teaching, right? You get to decide what you're going to do that day. And I think admin is somewhat reactive. When something happens and there's kind of like an emergency situation or, you've got a meeting with the superintendent, those are have tos, and you have to react and you have to do it. So there's a little bit less planning being an admin because it's a little bit more reactive.
Okay.
That's probably the biggest.
That's really cool. Well, before we get to our final concluding question, I always like to ask if there's any final topics, thoughts, ideas, questions before we wrap up this lovely conversation.
You know what? This is happening at the end of the year, and I think for anyone that might be listening that is thinking about turning their page from one chapter to the next, it's one of the most exciting parts of your life, and so that could be going from middle school to high school. That can be from going from high school to whatever's happening next. That could be getting married, having a kid, retiring, right? You've got these big parts in your life that are super impactful. And I call them flipping, changing the page from one chapter to the next. And just to be able to slow down and reflect and appreciate that chapter in a really authentic way, I think is really important for you guys. As seniors, as students that are about to close this chapter in a week from now, you're closing this chapter. Be reflective and be present and think about what you've just been going through, because you don't know what this next chapter is going to bring, but you know what you just went through, right? And so really appreciate it and be excited that you get to flip to this next chapter and what that's going to bring for you. So I think that's one of the most exciting things about being in a high school is to watch you guys turn that last page.
Yes.
And then go off to do the next chapter.
That's so exciting. All right, well, this is the final question I ask every guest and teacher, and I think we probably have covered it a little bit throughout this conversation, but maybe if we just give one little succinct answer. And the question is, if you could give one piece of advice to the graduating class of 2025, what would it be?
I think I'm just going to reiterate, think about having that 5-year plan, appreciate the chapter that you're in, and think a little bit about what that looks like, what that next chapter is, and do a little bit of planning. But be really intentional about when a chapter in your life closes and comes to an end. Try to reflect and be appreciative, whether it was great or not so great. It happened, and it's part of the experience of your life, and it's going to impact you, right? Whether positive or negative, it happened. And so in this moment, I hope that our seniors at Ben High School can think about, man, this has been a cool ride. Totally. See you later. I'm off to something better and bigger. But this has been cool, right? And so I hope that's what most kids feel like.
Wonderful. Well, then I'm going to say thanks for tuning into the BSH Brief. Huge shout out to Mr. Hutter for sharing their story and to our student guests for help holding it down. Until next time, stay proud, stay classy, and stay brief bend high. That's a wrap, everybody. Good job.
Good job.